We're getting a clear picture of the devastation left by Hurricane Ian. I have Richard Trabue here to talk about it. So, Richard, as far as storms go here in Florida, hurricanes, this one ranks as one of the most powerful ones that hit here in Florida, and it's a deadly one. How's it compare to other storms?
Yeah, in terms of hurricanes that have hit the state of Florida, it's ranks fourth in terms of power. It came in at 150-mile-per-hour winds, almost Category 5. It falls right behind a Labor Day hurricane of 1935, and then, of course, 1992's Hurricane Andrew that hit down in Homestead, and the recent Hurricane Michael that devastated the Panhandle in 2018. This one was intense, and when it came in Southwest Florida, almost following the same path as Hurricane Charlie. Its first landfall was the exact same island that Hurricane Charlie hit, Cayo Costa State Park, and then went right up into Charlotte Harbor near Punta Gorda, almost exactly as Charlie.
Yeah, we're seeing the images of devastation there in Southwest Florida, and the questions now are possible more fatalities with this. There are some already, and that's where the real uncertainty comes now as they start trying to figure out what's happened down there and where individuals are.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, and right now I expect the number to grow. Just Friday morning, state officials said that 21 deaths were being considered to being blamed on the hurricane. And those don't even include deaths from Lee County, which is where the hurricane actually came on shore. Several from surrounding counties down there.
The search and the rescue folks have gone to a lot of these areas. Fortunately, you're not finding like desperate people waving, saying that it's usually, there's some people that are brought off the island. They're thankful, but many of these people on Sanibel are saying we're fine. Thanks for coming by and doing that. So there's going to be more that happens in the next few days. But I do think the response was very, very quick. I think it absolutely has made a huge difference.
And then, and also there's been deaths that are not part of the official tally right here in Central Florida, including a couple in Volusia County, a man who fell into an embankment when he was trying to drain his pool as the storm was coming through Central Florida, and also just announced Friday morning a man who had died who was waiting for a rescue because of rising floodwaters. He had tripped and fell and was not able to escape the floodwaters. Sad news there.
Yeah, it is sad, and that floodwaters here in Central Florida, that just seems to be back here in Orlando, the main concern happening right now. Those are the areas where they're still being watched, and it seems like the pockets, those hotspots, are those notorious places that are known to flood here in Orlando that are still underwater.
Yeah, Central Florida seems to have really bad luck with flooding. In the past, we had lots of it in 2004 with Hurricanes Jean and Francis that followed Hurricane Charlie during that horrible summer. But also in 2008, just Tropical Storm Faye came through and just dumped so much rain on the area because it slogged its way through, which is similar to how Hurricane Ian, which for a time was Tropical Storm Ian, came through Central Florida, just dumping 12, 13, 15 inches of rain in these places, and having the creeks and the rivers and just coming up and flooding people's homes and coming up the riverbanks, and cars getting stopped. And luckily, aside from the news out of Volusia, no deaths reported because of the floodwaters in Central Florida.
Yeah, let's talk about next step. Ultimately, insurance is what starts to play, and that's where where individuals are curious as far as like how do they go about putting things back together, and whether insurance companies can even cover this. And it seems like at this point, insurance companies aren't exactly panicking.
The good news is that there will be a lot of assistance available from FEMA and other organizations that will hopefully stem the incredible, could be $30 billion to $50 billion worth of damage across the state. The state has had similar statewide catastrophes, including Hurricane Irma back in 2017, that pretty much hit everywhere from the Keys through Central Florida up into St. Augustine. And so the problem is, with insurance already at a breaking point, how much can the insurance companies endure? So we'll have to see how much assistance can be made for the claims before people have to rely on the insurance companies, and whether they'll survive this big a hit.
Many people don't even carry the type of insurance that would cover floodwater. So you think your house is fine as far as insured goes, but if floodwaters come in, if you don't have flood insurance, you're not exactly covered.
Yeah, and this is a story that is told every year, where people are reminded that just because you have home insurance, that you may be out of luck because you have to carry flood insurance. Now, there are a lot of houses that are required to carry that, especially if they're located close to the ocean. But further inland, like we heard in Central Florida, that's a big issue, and people who are not expected to be hit. But Governor DeSantis called this a 500-year flooding event. And people don't look back that far to see whether they should be protected from rising waters.